good. No sound? Let's see. Is this not working? Wait. Can you guys hear me? Wait. There we go. I just heard myself on YouTube. Sound is fine on the Zoom list. Okay. I checked it on YouTube by hearing myself talk, so we are good to go. All right. So let's go ahead and launch. Let me share my screen here. We'll take a look at these projects. All right. So let's jump in here. Guys, you were amazing for this round. I could not believe some of these images that you all were creating. Absolutely gorgeous. There's so much stylized stuff, so much color, so much life, so much spookiness. I sent these, or I'm going to send these over to Justin, and he is going to be absolutely blown away by them. I mean, obviously, you've made it incredibly difficult to judge. But what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go through some of the best ones. We're going to announce the winner. And then what I'm going to do from there is then I'll kind of go through all of them and just kind of talk through them individually. I will be checking both YouTube Live as well as the Zoom Slack or the Zoom comment window, the Zoom chat window. So feel free to throw your comments in there. I'm terrible at multitasking sometimes, so I'll go through these and I will occasionally check in on the chat windows to see if anything's going on there. Okay, so without much further ado, let's talk about some of the really great ones. So Alfredo, you had this is absolutely gorgeous. Like your amount of detail in this shadow area is right on point. The headlights look great. You can see kind of that weird patterning in there. The reflection on the window looks really nice. This cool versus warm complementary colors is great. And I love how you can see some of the light trickling through the doorway there. And you've got these multiple angles and you're really kind of just starting to tell the story a little bit. Let's see, we've just got so much color, so much life in so many of these. And like, you guys are really doing a brilliant job of getting like an overall haze. Let's see, Diana's here. Not easy to do with this, with the amount of volumetric and the amount of stuff. You've got a pretty clean render right here, which is really great. And like you're starting to feel that this is alive a little bit through this parallax that as you're passing through the grass. DePauli, such like this color scheme is so pretty between these greens and these purples. It's just really lovely. Donica, same thing here with getting this fog to kind of eat the background there. Forest, like this was probably my favorite camera angle at all of these. Like just such a brilliant job getting this rim light here. Doris, with your beautiful color scheme as well, and everything just soft and kind of flowing together. Jen, same thing here. Juan, with your spooky set, it's like this looks great. This is really fun. Like when I looked at it the first time, I just started giggling. It's just fun and light and really good. And Kira did a great job bringing in Sir Desmondus Rotundus from the asset library, which beautiful character lighting on him. Lemise, brilliant job. Okay, I'll stop telling you guys what a brilliant job everybody did because I'll go through that a second time. But we do want to announce our winner. And for this week's winner, we are going to announce that Alfredo is the winner. Oh, I can't even spell winner. Congratulations, Alfredo. So the reason why we picked Alfredo was a few things. One, this combination of warm versus cool light. But more important than that, there were three kind of main elements that worked really well. You told the story of light coming out of this house. I love how you hit this edge with a lot of really beautiful light. You tackled the challenging task of getting our character to read by creating a dark silhouette over a lighter background. I love like the little bits of specular highlight that you're getting out of these shingles out of the roof. Again, just like really creating shape. Like look how much shaping there is from this side of the building. Oh, why is it not trying? This side of the building to this side of the building. Like just a good amount of fall off. And then you're sprinkling in these headlights that look great and they're lighting up the ground. you can just feel this connection. You can feel this story being told in kind of every element of this shot, including these kind of like hazy lens artifacts, bubbles on there are just really great from top to bottom. You incorporate it into several different shots to kind of fully explore the space a little bit. You push yourself when we asked you to push you during the critiques. And I think that this, you really, 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 really did a brilliant job with this. So I want to commend you on that and say congratulations. We'll be reaching out to you to award you your prize. A couple others, runner-ups, honorable mentions, whatever you want to call them, the ones that made it extraordinarily hard. A couple, Doris, yours was like the color and the softness and the roll off, and just like, and by roll off, I mean like the soft transitions between the different sections, just gorgeous, like so pretty. There were a couple of little things that I do. Oh, I meant to mention this about Alfredo's. Alfredo, one thing I would like to see this ground get a little bit brighter from the headlight. That's it. Okay. Let's see where we're Doris. So for yours, I thought it was great overall. Like I said, the softness, the color, the light value you're getting is really, really nice. A couple areas that I could see improving upon was that you've got this really nice kind of overall fall off from like bright and then going across the image this way and then into like some darker values. Then on this side, we just get this, like there's some light rays kind of coming out over here randomly. And I don't really know what's causing that. Like, I'm guessing there's some off-camera light, but then like we're not seeing the effects of that light really anywhere else in the scene. Additionally, the car, the windshield is just kind of like, it's not dingy in that, there's no cracks, there's no smudges. It's clean, but it's also dark and we're not really seeing anything in the reflection. There appears to be a weird matte line here on the edge. I'm not quite sure what that is. And then your character, it's nice. Like, I like the idea of cutting off the head down this way, but I'm just kind of losing the read on the top of the hair and in some of those areas there. But overall, like I said, this one was really, really strong. Forrest, yours, again, same deal, just absolutely beautiful. Love the camera angle. Love that you were able to get this attention on this character here, and love that you were able to get the read between all of that. I would like to see a little bit more kind of haze overall. I would like to see a little bit more depth going back into the background here. Like all these trees back here are kind of in the same parallel as that in terms of their darkness value. So like getting those to step back into space a little bit that way. But I love these lines coming across here. I love the shapes that you're creating. I love the shaping on the character. I love the story that you're telling with your setup and your lighting. So that all of that is really, really well in place. Nigel, I thought that your color scheme, your lights were looking really great. Everything's just kind of tying together really nicely. I don't like, there wasn't anything technically wrong with this at all, because you're reading the character, you're reading all of these elements. It was just a matter of pushing that emotion to the next level and really kind of like making a strong connection with the piece on an emotional level, which I think you're right there. You're right on the cusp. The only thing technically that I would do is just add some shapes inside this window to create a little bit of shadow back there, so you can feel a little bit of that space. But like, headlights looking great. Same thing, you go a little bit brighter here and here. And then there's a little bit of a dark outline on these, and I think that's about it. But yeah, again, like you guys are making this so hard. Pearl, like the warmth, like when you look at this initially, you're like, oh, this is a monochromatic color scheme, which it kind of is, but like the variation within that monochromatic nature is so like you've got these magentas and oranges and like more saturated oranges in here, which I think this might actually be a little bit too saturated. I think we can go darker on the character too, just a little bit more to get her to pop out. But yeah, like this, again, if we are, all of these pieces that I'm talking about that are extraordinary and all demo reel worthy, and you guys are all killing it. So I just think there's some like little tiny things that you can tweak, and also maybe try getting a little bit more variation, just a little bit more shaping on the broad side of the house here. That's it. but again, like the stuff that we're talking about is really, really minor differences between these elements. Oh, Sylvain, yours as well. Like your Coco reference is right on point. Like you got these candles looking great. The glow of the character looks really great. I would just like to see a little bit more variation fall off as we come across this way in the background, just something to kind of mix it up a little bit. I would also like to see more haze. Like you've got it kind of isolated just around here, but just like an overall, like there's a lot of light emanating from this house. And then this night with this much fog, you would feel a little bit more of that warmer kind of just like outward glowy haze around the whole thing. So I think that would really help sell that and really take that to the next level too. Okay, let's go through a few more of these. Oh, and then last one I meant to mention, Saravana. So this one, this one looks like this was a little bit of a late submission, so it wasn't eligible for the prize. But I just wanted to commend you on your setup and this character running. There's a couple things about it that make me laugh. Like his face is totally like just like a ho-hum, like whatever, I'm just running, no biggie. The headlights I could get, they're a little too saturated. I would pull back the saturation on the headlights. This lens flare on the eyes is really cool. I would pull back the saturation on this doorway. And then if you can add a little bit of, see how there's just like haze here? If you can add a little bit of that up above on the house as well to kind of zero us in this area would really help out a lot. But the shaping on the character looks good. You got some Rembrandt lighting. You can even see the little triangle right in there. But yeah, that, and then I would consider darkening back over here too, so we can kind of keep the focus right in there. All right, let's go through some more. And before I do that, let me just hop and make sure we're not. Hi, look at everybody on YouTube Live. Did you miss a winner? The winner is, I don't know if you saw, I don't know if you got that already, but yeah, the winner again is Mr. Alfredo. So we go there. All right, let's check in on Q&A here. Any feedback on my submission? Yes, we're going to go through everyone's submissions now, and we will give you guys some feedback there. And and we'll see if there's anything else in the chat window here before moving on. All right, great, cool. So let's go through each one. And if you guys can see them over here, this is the order that I'm going to go through them in. So Nadine. So a couple things out of the gate with this. This side of the car is like kind of glowy, and it's a little odd that like it's lit up in chunks. I love the animation on this overhead light. It's a little frenetic, and it's a little odd that everything is flickering. I would rather most of the lights were consistent, and just like that overhead light is going nutty. Like we don't need all three of these lights to turn on and off. I think this one's going to, yeah. Also, when if this one flickers, like this bulb doesn't flicker at all. So just make sure that those are tied together. And then in terms of like, if we're seeing a lamp like that, there's going to be a glowy, hazy bit around it as well. And all right, and we're gonna go, then we'll step through to Aaron's. Aaron, I just think this one's a little bit low res. It feels a little, it feels a little bit, yeah, like pixelated, weird edges. And I would like to see, if you're gonna go back, I would re-render this at a high resolution, really make it nice and crisp. And then from there, it would be nice to get a little more reflection of the glowiness in the window here. I do think that this side of the building can tone down just a little bit. Love the reflections in these windows. These tail lights, the spill on the ground is good, but they're too bright in here. I would, kind of tone these down so that because the bulb on the inside of those is a very, very small LED. So tone it down to that, and then just play up the glowiness around there. Seems to be a hard shadow right there, and I'm guessing it's from the bulbs. And when I say that the LED bulbs are small, I just mean what's causing the point in the middle of that, because those bulbs shine into something and then they reflect off. So the light source is going to be a little bit bigger than that because it's the reflected thing. I do like the haze that you're getting in the background and the silhouetting on some of those trees. I think that's really great. And then I think your darks can go a little bit darker right here in the foreground, but really cool piece. It's close. We'll just keep pushing it. Alexandre, so love the camera angle. It's like, well, it's a cool camera angle in that we're kind of falling off the edge a little bit. It's interesting in that, like, I feel like we could shift it the scene down a little bit and make the ground line like more down here. And that will put the house here and allow us to read the character a little stronger, which this is just really cool. I'm wondering if, because like this is a very tight rim light from this. I almost want to see, because this is like a huge amount of, like a huge light source here coming out of all three of these orifices, that I would almost expect like that color to kind of overtake the ground, and like we would see more of it like on the house here. And I would turn off these bounce up lights. They're not helping. They're not directing our eye anywhere in particular. Our focus is going to be here and then down. We don't need to see anything here. So allow some of this stuff to go a little bit darker and really tie all that stuff together in a really, really strong way. The other Alexandre, this is really cool. I love the amount of glowiness that you're getting out of the house. One thing is that when you get this bright here, my eye just wants to go right there and I kind of miss out on the character. The smoke in your headlights looks really good. I like that, you know, you got the headlights facing down, cool. These spots would get brighter from headlights. And then also, I like the way that these are, I like the way that the headlights are looking. They're nice and bright. I do want to see, because at this close up, I want to see a little bit more variation in there, like a little more look that, a little more indication of their headlights. Do you see how there's like, in this one, there's like a little bit of that patterning that happens in headlights? I would like to see just a little bit more of that. And then like, watch out for this, like that's being spilled out over there. And then, yeah, and I think that we could go, this bird is cool. It'd be nice to hit that with a little bit of a red rim and then allow this stuff to go a little bit darker in here so we can kind of focus in back there, and allow this stuff back here in the background to get darker so we can really kind of tie into this pathway between the car and our characters there. Love this, like this roll off between the greens and the oranges is really nice. Love that connection point there. All right. Cloud. Good brightness down here. The ground is getting a high amount of contrast, so watch out for that. Like you wouldn't see these deep darks in the ground down here if they're being hit with that much headlight. You've got the nice patterning going on there, but I do think it's kind of like a balance between what we were just seeing in the last one. I think you can go a little bit brighter in your headlights here. This haze inside the car, it's interesting because it doesn't feel like, I can't tell what the light source is. Like, I can't tell if it's like I'm looking for a brighter red point somewhere to kind of justify all that red light in there. This is really cool here, but I would like to use this to direct our eye more. So it'd be nice if like that put on a really strong rim light on our character, or maybe that instead of it being in that window was here and allowed the character to silhouette. It's really about tying things into our main element. And then, not sure if we need these lights on. I don't know if they're helping us tell the story at all. As I think they might just be distracting a little bit. So I would limit, because it seems like you have too many light sources right now, and it's kind of allowing the focus of the shot to get pulled away from us a little bit. So that would be my advice for you going forward. Diana, really great stuff. I think that you can darken these trees in the foreground to create a stronger silhouette, a stronger sense of framing in here. The fog looks great. It's a little bit uniform, and I would like to see a little bit more depth in it, where the foreground's a little bit darker and we step back into space a little bit more. And then you can add, if it's going to be this heavy down here, I would increase it a little bit around the house, especially the top of the house there. But I love the saturation point on this light. I love the shaping that you're getting on it. It's all looking really beautiful in there as well. Dipali, again, love the color scheme, looking great. I want to darken this to create more silhouette. The water, this was a tough challenge. You accepted a really, really tough challenge of trying to put this car in floating water. You would see more like specular highlights from the water in here. It would be more, you pick up a little bit more there. Also, that light's a little bit on the saturated side. When I squinted this image, I did kind of lose this character as well. I like that you're trying to use the eyes to get it to brighten up there, but everything, and it's mostly like the God rays are leading up above the gaze point of the character. And then like, I have to like do a secondary thing to see the character. So I would almost move those God rays and center them around here, and then bring the brightness around the back of the character and then silhouette her up a little bit more. Take out this blue color of the doorway. That's not really appearing anywhere else in the shot. And it just feels a little wrong there. But the house itself looks really beautiful. Lots of shadow shaping. And then watch out. It looks like there's a little bit of extra depth of field in here too. I would just pull back on that a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to end up making it feel a little bit miniaturized. Donica. So like I said, I like the way the haze is eating the background here. I would like to see a little bit more variation because, again, this tree is only a few feet behind this fence. And so it's like if there's going to be that much fog there should be some here. And then there should definitely be some over here in the foreground as well. But it's just like we just need to kind of step it back a little bit more into space there. The light coming from behind the door, it's funny because it's actually coming like from like the door is here. And then that is the door frame. So it's like that's where the door should attach to the house and light spilling through that. So it doesn't like I'm not fully sold that is that light is coming like around, like it's just strange where that light is coming from. I do like the lighting on the character. If we could justify that a little bit more by having the light back there, that would be good. And then, yeah, I think that's a good next step for you there. Doris, again, I went through this one a little bit, not a huge amount to change, just those few little bits of like the light over here, the windshield having more reflection, maybe some more dark points in the car there. Finding a way to get a better read on the character. But that would be about it there. Forrest, got you. Grayson, I would pull back again on the pure red saturation on this light. It's fine if you want to go a little bit graphic with it, but like I just really like the desaturated value more on this blues back there. And I think that by pulling back on the saturation of the red, you can get something a little more subtle and a little more robust in the image. Again, great camera angle. I love these diagonal dynamic lines. You're doing a good job of getting darkness in here. I do think that we can get just like a touch more just in that corner there. Let's do that with the image. And then, yeah, character herself looks pretty good. If you can get some kind of rim on it, that would be like just to kind of tie them together so it's not just like pure silhouette. That would be cool. And then also, if you could extend her shadow down onto the ground there, I think that would really tie in her with the light source as well. And do you see how this light, these God rays are kind of fading off into like saturation, and they're kind of banding out and then into darkness? I would like to see them start to band out on this side as well. I think that would be really cool. Jeff. Oh, Jeff, this was one of the hard runner up too. The story that you're telling the story is really, really strong. Between the character being rim light here, you could see that character like approaching Rick in the doorway, which made me laugh every time. I do think you could hit the rim light on the character stronger. Like it would almost be like that amount of value and then tone those down a little bit to really tie the character in. Maybe pull off a touch of the haze off the character to get a little more dark value in there. Headlights are looking pretty good. Still, but suffering from that same like high contrast ground thing. Maybe a little reflection in the windows here. Again, love the God. Like this is a really nice way of the God rays like leading our eye right back to where they need to go. So really good job there. A little more darkening, just a touch more on the outside here. And with these headlights, I do think they look good. But it's almost like, I wonder, and you can try this after the fact. I think, I wonder if we should try a version with them off and then just allowing this to do all the heavy lifting on the shot. But I think it's really good. And then you want to soften this edge of that light too if you do that. If you don't do that, I mean, and you keep those lights in there, you want a little bit of a softer edge there. And then also, the volumetric rays seem to be coming from just the center. For these, you probably want to extend them out just a little bit more. Jen, really great, beautiful colors. This green is a little bit too saturated, and I do think that overall the contrast could be a little greater. I just want to see some more dark values, and I want to see some more variation. Like if you look at these trees here, like they step back into space, and there are different depth amounts. This one, this one, this one, this one, like all of these. But if you look at them, they're very similar in tone. There's not a lot of atmosphere playing off of them. And I think that we can use that to add more depth to the scene. And with the saturation on this, it's just because I look at like the warm saturation here versus the green saturation here, and they're just not syncing up. Like this is a nice subtle, and this is like 100% green. So I would pull that back a little bit, but that would be my next steps for you. For Juan, again, this one made me laugh. There were a couple things that I really think that you could do to improve it. Number one, and this is one. So when a car pulls up, rarely do they turn the lights off before they stop. Usually it's like you're driving, you stop, and then you turn the lights off. So something about that read as being a little odd to me. So I would change that from just like from my first instinct type of thing. Your value on the lights looks really good. I love this highlight on the windshield. I think you can go dark, like this feels a little foggy. You can go darker on that and more reflective. Overall too, I want to like I feel like we could go a little bit more contrasty in the scene as a whole. Let's here. Like, I think the house has good shaping on it, but it's overall too bright and it's taking away from our ability to read on this character here. And I think that you're excited to showcase some of your different elements here. And what's happening is, and because they're really cool, I think we need to figure out exactly what it is we want to look at with this shot. Like, what are the very specific, like characters that we want to tell? Are the lights important? Is this guy important? Is this important? Is this important? Is the hanging skeleton important? Because I think once we kind of narrow that in, we can limit the amount of light sources that we have and really hit home on the ones that we want and really just like tell that story. Like, these are looking really good in that they're more subtle. This guy's looking really good in that he's lit up and he's subtle. This tree's looking good because it's lit up, but it's subtle, where the rest of it is kind of like my eyes just kind of bouncing all over the place there. So really it was more about, there's nothing like technically wrong with it or with the shot by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's really good. It's just a matter of dialing in the contrast points and light sources to really help tell the story. The other thing about the main character, good shaping on him, but I would expect with the lights to be kind of on the porch to all kind of be behind him, for him to be more rim lit. And it's more, he's more like overall, like he's got a lot more fill value and a lot less rim value than I was expecting. But that being said, this is all very, very good. Like the reference points you have, and this looks really good here. I would also check, that was from Spies in Disguise. I think I did those. Yeah. Also look into, if you guys are looking for headlight stuff, I just watched the Pixar movie that's Onward, and they have some really good headlight stuff in there. But yeah, I think your headlights look really good. And then with this one, do you see like the way that this character is a little more rim light and then boxed in by this darker value, and the way like this character is pretty subtle? Like these are kind of washed out by a haze. They're floating around here, but like, I guess those are a little bit bright, but like the main light sources are here in the middle to draw our character and like leading this path down in there. So I would just work on that. Cat, this is looking really beautiful. I think that we can tone down. Let me see how I want to say this. I wonder if we've let these headlights get a little bit out of control. I think we can turn those down a little bit and really focus in on this character. Also, everything feels a little bit, same thing, a little bit low resolution, a little bit fuzzy. And I think so next time that you render this, I would do it at a higher resolution. But I do love the perspective that you're telling with this from inside this car window. I also think that you could darken back over here especially on that side a little bit more. But I do love that this is getting picked up. But yeah, judging from where this shot started, and I know that you just started the program recently, the progress that you've made has been really phenomenal. So I'm really excited to see what you do next. And yours, I should mention too, does a really good job of picking up all of these details in the shot up here. And the lighting on the character looks really good. It's just these headlights are starting to wash into that a little bit. And it's nice that they're leaving a path back there, but I really want more attention on the character. Also, if we could maybe rotate the camera up a little bit so this character comes down and is more central to the frame, I think that'll help a lot too. Kevin, so much haze, so much glow, really beautiful stuff. And I've said this in the lighting critiques, but I just love how everything is so mystical and magical around this part of the frame. And then we get over here and it's just like, oh, like he's not magical at all. So it's really great overall. I was noticing this today, that there's some like weird contrast in here. And then also, like, I feel like the background here can start to fade off into a little bit more darkness back in this region too. Because that'll really help us isolate all the glowiness and magical qualities around the house. The headlight eyes look really good. The translucency on her cape looks really good. And but I think that you can tone that down. And this was another one too that made it really hard. And then for yours as well, just watch out for the contrast in the ground too. Like it's just really really pronounced there. So let's just take that down a little bit. But overall, like again, like I said, you made a huge amount of progress on this, and you guys are definitely making it hard. Kjeld, this one is funny because I used a really wide angle lens and it just like made me feel uncomfortable. And that's a good thing. There's a lot of, the one thing I would tell you is that there's like in this value of the house, there's just a lot of like flat values. There's not a lot of really strong shaping on them. The character's kind of blurry and tough to decipher. And like I do like the stylized nature of all this stuff, but it just comes off as being a little bit flat. And like this post is being lit by the headlight, but like it never actually gets bright. It just kind of burns out in saturation, and then like the saturated yellows of the headlight are a little bit too strong. And then this tree is got some like lifted values, but then the area back behind it is darker, which kind of messes with my depth take on this. So yeah, so I would adjust that a little bit. Kira, really beautiful stuff. I love this shot a lot. I would want to get a little bit more darkening around the edges just to focus in on our character there. The eye whites are good and poppy, but they're a little bit too strong. I would pull back on them just a touch. And then for your overall shot, I would like to see more depth rolling off here. I'd like to see some brighter headlights, just like the individual dots back there. These headlights look really good, but I think you can go brighter around their base. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And then I would turn off those orange lights there, because it's like you've got this kind of nice combination of reds and greens, and then you kind of mix those in. And same thing with these. Maybe we should turn those off too. Just kind of like simplify and keep our focus and our composition down to the core essential elements. Lamise, really, again, you guys are killing it. Like just beautiful. I think you can go, like there's a lot of noise in here that doesn't, and over here, it doesn't quite make it feel like a fully polished final render, which is fine. It's just for the competition's sake. We want nice and clean and finished and polished. The high contrast in the ground here, we can tone that down a little bit, which I'm guessing is probably something to do with the material value. So I would just in the shader itself. So I would just pull down the contrast on that. More reflection in the windows here, and then overall just more contrast in the car, especially on this side of the car to get darker. Because these headlights just feel like they're a little bit diffused, just like have too much ambient value in there. Yeah, but I like the brightness here. I like the shaping on the character. Yeah, you can really feel the light rattling around in there and bouncing around, which is really nice. Laura, love the specular highlights on the street. I think you're one of the only ones to add a lot of moisture there, and that certainly helps a lot. That makes it, you can feel that you can feel the variation in there. You can feel that. I would like to see more of that specular highlight. I'd like to see more of that moisture enter around the scene as a whole. I do like that the characters a little bit darker and a little more difficult to read, but I would hit it a little harder with that red light. And same thing that we were saying about some of the other ones, the red light that you have here is like pure red. I would pull that back a little bit because you're getting some nicer values around here. I love the variation in the lights here. They're not like one consistent warm color. You got kind of like more orange, less orange, like a variation in the saturations, which makes them feel a lot more real. And then lastly, I would want a little bit more spill from that red light onto the scene. Just to kind of tie that all together. I think that would do really well. And then, oh yeah, for the lightning bolt, yeah, that's playing up really well. Yeah, that looks really cool. And then like playing into this, the haze of this looks really good. And then, but I would tone this down and just make that more of like a framing element, darker element. But really, really good stuff. All right. I'm sorry. I don't know if your name's Libby or Libe. I apologize. But I do. The saturated yellow of the yellow green of the headlight was throwing me off a little bit. I do like the shadows a lot from the headlight. Those feel very real. Like it feels like they're coming from two light sources, which is nice. And I like the combination of the blue light on here. It's just a matter of like the character kind of gets a little bit washed out and lost in there, and really deciding if the headlight is the strongest source or this interior light is the strongest source. Because I would tone that way down in there and then allow a little bit of the headlight to hit the character and allow the character to read off from the background that way. Because right now it's just the character is getting a little bit lost in there. And then in terms of these areas outside of the main light, just getting a little bit more fall off as we get down here towards the corner. Nice shaping on this tree too. Really good stuff there. Nigel. Yeah, so again, like, yeah, I talked you through this one. Pearl, same thing here. Ramon or Raymond. It feels like, okay, a couple things. The headlight hitting the ground. Headlights feel like they're a little bit more upward. I would tilt them down just slightly. I would also try and get some more patterning in the headlight itself. I can see that it's hitting this plant there, but it feels like it would hit, like you'd feel a little bit more fill value on some of this stuff, especially since the light is spilling onto the ground here. It just feels odd that that's that saturated, or sorry, that dark, that contrasty against there. I would darken underneath the car. And then the biggest one, another big one to me, is I really like where you're heading with this kind of creepy green underlighting. I just want to feel it more. Like I can really feel it on the trees back there. I want to like feel it more on the house. And I like the color that you're getting back here. This is starting to feel a little bit too saturated in here, but I would like really push that underlighting bounce of like some weird glowing haze in the scene, and then complementing that against the character to get the character to read. And then, oh, watch out for these hard shadows there. I would take that down as well. All right, and then Ryan, we're pulled a little bit far back, which makes it harder to be engaged with this shot. I would push in a little bit more and cut off some of these dead areas around the sides. If you want to use these trees as framing elements, totally get it. Just push those back into space too. The Aurora Borealis looks really cool, and I like the green influence on the rest of the scene. And there's definitely like strong purple light coming out of the house. It's odd. I guess that window is just closed up. It's just odd that it's streaming out of this one, but not the one right next to it. Get some darker values on the character here, and allow more rim light to tell the to be the light source on the character, because and pull off some of this haze over top of her because that'll help her read a little bit more. And I would maybe try to add, like, if the scene feels a little bit dry, I would try and add some like moisture into the air too, to get some like more specular highlights on the road, on the rock, and some of those areas as well. I think would help out quite a bit. And we talked about. All right. So okay. So last up we have Cheyenne. Again, like these headlights are tricky. Make them a little bit brighter. Like that we're seeing the patterning. Want to see more spill on the street. I like the colors. I mean, you guys are doing a great job of these complementary colors, which has really been beautiful. It's odd though that there's so much haze on the house, but less so in the environment back here. You'd want, like, I think that haze could be a lot of fun, but you want to step some haze back in the environment to create some depth as we move back into space there. And then I'm wondering, I just maybe like, because this sun, moon, celestial body is so bright red, I want to feel more of that onto the scene. So like more like red rim, like you see it a little bit here, but it's kind of neutralized. And I just want to see it play out a little bit stronger. It doesn't have to be that saturated. I think just like a little bit more saturated this, so like somewhere between those two, and split the difference there. And then the character feels pretty solid here. I would allow the character to get a little bit transparent or glowy, and kind of so it actually, I would go one of two ways. Either make it a little bit, either make it rock solid and dark with like green rims on it, or make it more transparent and then glow up the eyes to get the eyes to read off in the background a little bit. I think would really help. All right. Well, that is everyone today. As I start to lose my voice a little bit, let's check in here. Let's see if we have any chats. Thanks for the feedback, Mike, and congratulations, Alfredo. Great work, everybody. Totally agree on that. Let me stop sharing and we'll check over on Facebook here. Not Facebook, YouTube. All right. Okay, cool. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you let us know. Again, reminder, meant to remind everybody off the top, we are moving our operations over to Discord a little bit. So make sure you sign up, check the Facebook group for that. Although if you have this link, that means you're probably in Discord. So there's that. But invite your friends over as well. And thank you guys for your patience and your feedback on that. We're going to be changing it up and just playing around with it and seeing how best to create an environment that works out for us. So thank you all for joining in today. If you have any questions, make sure you add them in the comments down below, and I will talk to you all very soon. All right. Happy lighting, everybody.